Hello, welcome to World News Today. Here are the top breaking stories for you. Trump defends Syria move. It's time to come back home. Donors express frustration over Biden. Judge rejects Trump's bid to keep tax return separate in New York. US prefers a big deal with China, said Trump. You're watching the headlines, now the details. On Monday, dug in on his decision to pull US troops out of northern Syria as Turkey prepares an operation in the region, while members of his own party lined up to criticize the move. Speaking to reporters in the Roosevelt Room of the White House, Trump said he has great respect for the prominent Republicans who are urging him to reconsider his strategy, but that it's time to come back home. We have been there for many years beyond that what we were supposed to be. Not fighting, just there, and it's time to come back home. Trump said in his first public remarks since the shift was announced late Sunday. But I can understand the other side of it, he continued. But if you go by the other side, that means we should never ever come home. The president lamented that the most difficult aspect of his job is writing letters to the families of soldiers killed overseas. He described writing to families of soldiers killed by mines or snipers, calling it devastating. We're willing to do what we have to do, but there has to be an end game, he said. And if we stay, it's going to be the same thing. Eventually, you are going to have to leave. The White House announced late Sunday that Turkey will soon be launching a military operation in northern Syria, and that US troops will no longer be in the immediate area when it happens. The US had more than 1,000 troops deployed in northern Syria working closely with Kurdish-led forces that Turkey considers terrorist. Asked Monday if he consulted with the Joint Chiefs of Staff on the decision, Trump claimed that I consulted with everybody, he said. I always consult with everybody. But there appeared to be disunity in the administration and the GOP in the aftermath of the White House announcement. Shortly after Trump spoke, a senior administration official told reporters in a phone briefing that the shift in strategy didn't constitute a withdrawal and that the impacted troops, approximately 50 to 100 special operators in the region, would merely be relocated to other bases in the region. The official also pushed back on any notion that Trump had given a green light to the Turkey to conduct the operation. There was a headline in the New York Times today that the president endorsed the operation in northern Syria. The official said, "We made it very clear that we didn't endorse and do not endorse an operation in northern Syria." The Pentagon had issued a statement earlier Monday indicating it did not approve of any Turkish offensive, while Republican lawmakers appeared to have been left in the dark on Trump's thinking and lined up to criticize the strategy. Senator Lindsey Graham called it a disaster in the making and promised a Senate resolution opposing it. Senator Mitt Romney described the move as a betrayal. Senator Marco Rubio lamented the move as a grave mistake, and Senator Susan Collins called it terribly unwise. Some senators publicly urged Trump to reverse course, while Graham prepared a resolution to voice the Senate's disapproval. Democratic donors are increasingly expressing frustration with Joe Biden's presidential campaign, saying he has failed to make a clear rationale for why he is running for the White House. Donors complained that a string of verbal gaffes and inconsistent debate performances have contributed to a sense of worry about the strengths of his candidacy. There is also some dissatisfaction with how the Biden camp has responded to a new series of attacks from President Trump, who has seen his own calls for Ukraine to investigate the former vice president turn into the impetus for an impeachment inquiry in the House. Look, let's be honest, he's a weak frontrunner, one major donor said. Biden had a disappointing third quarter fundraising showing, raising just $15.2 million compared to $24.6 million for Senator Elizabeth Warren, $25.3 million for Senator Bernie Sanders, and $19.1 million for South Bend and Buttigieg. The dismal numbers have added to a sense that the former vice president's campaign is on the decline. While Warren's in particular is on the rise, a lot of us are really concerned, another Democratic bundle said. We think Biden is the strongest out of the lot, but he hasn't exactly shown that he can play the part yet. Democratic strategist Brad Bannon said Biden's poor numbers suggest donors lack confidence in his campaign. The type of big donors that might give to Joe Biden only invest in sure things. He said Biden's nomination looked like a sure thing back in the spring when he got into the race with a 25% lead, so he raised a lot of money. Now his nomination is a crap shot after flops on the campaign trail, poor debate performances, and the big surge by Elizabeth Warren. Big money people who might favor Biden are investors, not gambler or zealots, so the money is drying up, Bannon concluded. A federal judge has emphatically rejected President Trump's challenge to the release of his tax returns to New York prosecutors, saying Monday that the president's broad claim of immunity from all criminal investigations is at odds with the Constitution, but an appeals court blocked any handover of the records for now. It issues a request from Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. that Mr. Trump's accounting firm turn over IT's oath of his business and personal tax returns for and investigations into the payment of hush money to two women who claim to have had affairs with the president. U.S. District Judge Victor Marrero turned down Mr. Trump's attempt to keep the tax returns under wraps, saying the president was making a categorical and limitless assertion of presidential immunity. The president's lawyers immediately appealed to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, and it granted a temporary stay of the judge's ruling, pending expedited review by the court. The radical left Democrats have failed on all fronts. Mr. Trump famed on Twitter, so now they are pushing local New York City and state Democrat prosecutors to get President Trump. A thing like this has never happened to any president before. Not even close. The criminal investigation in New York is unfolding with Mr. Trump already under siege on Capitol Hill from a fast-moving impeachment tribe set off by his attempts to get Ukraine's leader to investigate his political rival Joe Biden. The judge's ruling marked the latest in a string of setbacks for the president in the past couple of weeks. Mr. Trump's lawyers have said that the investigation led by Vance, a Democrat, is politically motivated and that the request for his tax records should be stopped because he is immune from any criminal probe as long as he is president. And President Donald Trump said Monday he would prefer to strike a comprehensive trade bargain with China in coming days before top U.S. and Chinese officials are due to resume trade talks in Washington. But with little sign, the two sides have made progress in bridging the distance between them. The speculation has mounted in recent months they may reach a deal which addresses only some of Washington's extensive grievances. I think it's not what I prefer at all. My inclination is to get a big deal, Trump told reporters when asked if he could accept a partial deal. We have come this far. We are doing well. I would much prefer a big deal, and I think that's what we are shooting for, he added. But he acknowledged that his preferred outcome is not certain. Can something happen? I guess, maybe. Who knows? But I guess it's unlikely. With 8 days to go before the next round of punitive tariffs is due to hit, Beijing's top trade envoy Li He will meet the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin beginning Thursday, the White House said in a statement. And that's the end for now. Thank you very much for staying with us.